Before we start the podcast, I wanted to make you aware of the free vocab worksheet available for you to access right now for this very episode you are about to listen to. It has some of the episode's best native expressions along with their definitions for a non-native learner so that you can keep up with the conversation you are about to hear. Find the link in the show notes or head to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet.
The new Apple Watch Series 10 is here. It has the biggest display ever. It's also the thinnest Apple Watch ever, making it even more comfortable on your wrist. And it's the fastest charging Apple Watch, getting you 8 hours of charge in just 15 minutes. Introducing the all-new Apple Watch Series 10. Now available for the first time in glossy jet black aluminum. Compared to previous generation, iPhone XS or later required. Charge time and actual results will vary.
Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about news, but not just news, positive news, good news. And maybe some funny and silly news. And don't worry, I'm not going to be your only anchor of this episode. We have a co-anchor with us today called Stephen Devincenzi, and he does a podcast called Send 7 or Simple English News Daily. Stephen has already been on the podcast before. He's back after just needing an insane amount of good news back in my life. So, Stephen, how are you today? Are you doing all right?
I am very well, thank you, Charlie. It's great to be back here on your podcast. I think it's been more than a year since we last spoke. And got lots of good and funny news to talk about today.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, thank you very much for coming back on. Since we spoke, I think you said that you went full-time podcast. How's that life treating you? I know it well. How's it going?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So last July, I finished my job in the primary school that I was working at, and I've just been full-time podcasting since then, and it's been great. Yeah, it's really enjoyable life. It's difficult, of course. There's so many things to do that people don't see, which I'm sure you know about.
Yes.
But it's been really good.
Lots of hats. You've got to wear lots of hats in this role, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah. There's the thinking about what to say, and then the recording, and the editing, and the producing, and the internet side of things, and then publicity side of things, and talking to a million people and sending lots of emails. There's lots of things involved in podcasting that people don't see.
Absolutely, yeah. And with yours, you've got to do a lot of research around the news, obviously. Is that a big portion, or do you have like a good network of people to help you know what news you want to be reporting on? Yeah,
well, so just in case there is anybody who doesn't know Simple English News Daily, so it's a daily show which is just 7 minutes long, and it's...
Do you ever listen to this podcast and think, am I coming away having actually learnt the new vocabulary that I am hearing? Well, if you're unsure, I highly recommend that you grab this episode's free vocabulary worksheet that I have made for you. Grab it now and continue listening to this episode whilst expanding your vocabulary for free. Find the link in the show notes or go to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Talks about everything which is happening all around the world. So at least some stories from Europe, at least some stories from Europe, Asia, at least some stories from Africa, at least some stories from the Americas every day. And the person whose voice you hear, so most of the time it's me, but sometimes it's my co-host Juliet or my co-host Ben. The person whose voice you hear is the person who has written everything for that episode. So most of the production time of an episode is just doing the research of what's been happening in the world in the last 12, 24 hours and shortening it, turning it into simple English, and then finally recording it and putting it onto all of the podcast apps. So most of it is reading and writing the news stories. Yeah.
I highly recommend it, guys. It's a very balanced approach, I think, of getting your worldly news or your global news, basically. So yeah, it's a really good one. And I think the last time we spoke, I said, I just put it on my Alexa. Hopefully that doesn't activate anyone's. Apologies. And I get all the news in 7 minutes really nicely, even though it's kind of delivered for non-natives who are learning English. I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, totally. I've heard some native English speakers say that they like speed it up. They put it on like 1.5 times the speed, so they would get it in like 4 minutes or 5 or something. Yeah, that's right.
I quite like the slowness of it. I don't know what that says about me, but we'll leave it there.
Relaxing.
Yeah, it's relaxing, exactly. So we've got some good news, some fun news, funny, and some silly news. Should we start with some good news?
Yeah, let's start with the good news. Yeah.
What one would you like to go for first? I can see a list here, but I want you to choose the first one.
Okay. Well, let's talk about energy. So energy is extremely important. We're using it all the time, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
And last year, during the whole of 2023, for the very first time, the European Union produced more electricity from renewable energy, from renewable sources, than from fossil fuels. So this is a real mountain point that we've crossed over here. So within the European Union, more energy was produced from renewable sources last year than from fossil fuels, and it should be continuing in that trajectory forever.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Sorry, BP and Shell and all of you big fossil fuel burners, but the day has come to bow down to green energy, renewable energy. Nice. That's really cool. Is there a particular format that is paving the way? Is it wind?
Yeah, it is wind. Wind is the biggest one. So wind is the biggest, and then after that, do you want to guess?
After that, it is what's it when it's a dam and then there's water pressure?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it is that. It's hydroelectricity. Yeah, that's right. That's second.
Hydroelectricity. Okay.
Yeah, and what's after that? Can you guess the third one as well?
What about the waves one? I don't know if this is big. I don't think this is big. The one where it's like catching the energy of a wave.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That's not in the reporting that I was looking at, but it's possible that might be included in the hydroelectricity.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Charlie. I have to check. But yeah, I have heard about the ones connected.
Solar.
It is solar. Yes, of course it's solar.
Yeah, because I've got loads of ads on Instagram popping up saying, what's their main line? It's like, you know that everyone's got solar on their roofs in the UK, right? No, they don't. And do you know why they don't? Because they don't know they can. Or something like, there's a government policy that will get you it for free. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I get the same Instagram ads as you do then, because I'm constantly being they're constantly trying to sell me solar panels for my roof as well. Yeah. But haven't got them yet, maybe soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. So in third place for the renewable energies, it is solar, and other sources only make up a small amount. So it's wind, and then hydroelectricity, and then solar energy. Okay. And altogether, those things are now creating more than the whole of the fossil fuel industry. So that is really fantastic.
Incredible. I remember in my geography class, they laughed at the idea of renewable energy. I think they were like, oil is going to run out by 2024. Weirdly, I think they said 2024 or 25 maybe, and they were like, so we really need a new option, but wind is just pathetic. We won't get anywhere with wind, so we need to find another way. But here we are. And it looks like it's just going to grow and grow and grow. I think the UK, the new UK government is planning to triple the amount of wind energy produced in the UK during this Parliament. So that's going to be massive. Okay. It's constantly going up. Right. I wonder if the more extreme weather that we're all experiencing now, do you think that the optimal wind turbine sort of speed of wind, it needs to be at a threshold, or is it the faster the better? Like if there's loads of wind, is that just great for it? Or is it like, well, chill out, come on.
I thought that it was just the more the better, but I'm not sure. You're making me doubt myself here, because I believe even on pretty slow wind days, they can still make a little bit of electricity. If you're seeing them going around a tiny bit, they're still generating a little bit, which is good.
Yeah, I do see a lot of them still, which upsets me. They're stationary, the blades.
Do they have any other ones near them which are moving? Or
yes.
Not? Yeah, I think that's because they're on slightly different angles. So some of them are picking up the wind when other ones are not, so that there will always be some that are getting it.
Ah, that's fascinating. Right, okay. Yeah. So they create the farm in a way that it always captures an angle of the wind.
I believe so, but also there will also be which directions they think is most likely to get the most wind, of course, as well.
Yes, because most of them are pointing in what I would say the same direction, but they're probably slightly off.
That's it, yeah. Also, another little thing that I read about in the newspaper yesterday is that there's been a funny kind of tourism which has been starting from Brighton in the south of England and from Ramsgate in the east of England, where people are paying to go on boat trips to go to these wind farms just out of curiosity, like because they were out in the ocean, and from Brighton Beach you can just about see them in the distance, and like they look kind of amazing, and like they're quite curious things like on the horizon, and these boat companies have set up tours just to drive out to them, to sail out to them, and to explore them.
Wow, that's I don't think I will be going on one of those, but that's great that they've created an opportunity for those who do want to see them. I mean, train spotting is a big hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so why not wind farms?
Yeah, but they are quite amazing, right? And they I saw that the current size is about the size of Big Ben, or the Elizabeth Tower, as we should say, because that's the actual name of the tower. So that's the current size of most of them, right? Of the wind turbines.
You've just blown my mind. I did not know it was called that. Big Ben is only the clock, and then the tower is the Elizabeth Tower.
Oh my gosh, this is the British English podcast, right?
I know.
Wow, come on, Charlie. Yeah. Okay, no, well, you only need to learn this once because it will stick with you forever. And all of the listeners, the name of the clock is Big Ben. The name of the tower that it's in, which is wrongly called Big Ben all the time, that is the Elizabeth Tower.
The Elizabeth Tower.
Yeah, named after Queen Elizabeth II.
Why the second? Was it built in her era?
Actually, it was built in the middle of the 19th century, so like the 1850s or 60s or something.
So why did she get to claim?
Because before it didn't have a name; it was just called the Clock Tower. And then during the Elizabeth II's reign, so relatively recently, it was for one of the Jubilees, I think, they changed the name from just Clock Tower to the Elizabeth Tower.
Right, okay, the Elizabeth Tower.
Anyway, the reason that I said this was to say that the current size of the wind turbines is about the same size as the Elizabeth Tower. Big Ben, aka Big Ben. The new ones that they're going to be constructing are going to be taller than the Eiffel Tower.
Oh.
Yeah. So that is absolutely huge.
I mean, I might sound like a hypocrite, but get me on that boat tour. That's impressive.
Right. Yeah. So when they're only as tall as the Elizabeth Tower, you think, nah. But if you to go out and see some as tall as the Eiffel Tower, okay, sign me up. Yeah.
Sign me up. Okay. That is very tall. Yeah. And so bigger blades, more wind, or more energy from the wind, right?
Yeah, I suppose the only reason that they can be going bigger and bigger is just to get more electricity, I suppose.
Bigger and better, baby. Okay, so that is EU renewable energy. Is there anything else that we should be adding to this impressive good news?
I just think keep it up. It's working. Yeah.
Keep it up, guys. Keep it up. Go on, Europe. But yeah, Europe is only one continent. We need the others to join in. Are they looking a bit bleak or...
Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.
Body wash. Wishing for a body wash made with natural ingredients? Dr. Squatch has got you covered. Manly scents that make you irresistible, a thick lather that leaves your skin moisturized all day. No matter what you're looking for in a body wash, rest assured Dr. Squatch is your best bet. Pick up one today in store or at drsquatch.com. It's Dr. Squatch Body Wash for men who prefer natural.
Yeah, I think it's different in different parts of the world. But I think in most places it's going in the right direction, but probably not as fast as in Europe.
All right, Team Europe leading the way. Come on, guys, catch up.
Go on, choose another one, Charlie.
Next one, I've got to go to it. Elephant and rhino populations are up.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah. So essentially, the total number of elephants and rhinos in the world throughout the 20th century was just going down and down and down and down and down.
Not good, Stephen.
Not good. Largely through poaching. So the animals being killed for their ivory, that's their tusks and teeth. And it's mostly been made illegal in most parts of the world, but it's kind of continued in some ways with poaching. So people killing these animals illegally and taking their tusks and teeth and selling them and things like that.
Yeah, mental. To us, it's mental. I find it weird to think that maybe a couple of generations ago you would buy the ivory quite comfortably. I don't know if it was connected to the poaching. It probably wasn't really. Like, people didn't really think, oh yeah, this was poached and killed and then served to me in this way. But pretty mental for us. Like, if I got my hands on something that was made of ivory, I would feel like I'm holding a blood diamond kind of thing.
Yeah. But I suppose the same thing has happened with fur coats.
Yes.
No? That this was something which was a real luxury, 100 years ago or less. A woman wearing something that came from a fox or some other animal. And today, I mean, imagine a woman going into a cocktail party wearing a fur coat. Yeah, I mean, people would look at her and more than bold, quite brave. It would people wouldn't like it. So this is changed quite rapidly. But anyway, the good news about this is that in the last 10 years or so, the populations have stabilized and even increased of both elephants and rhinos. And that is mostly from these big conservation efforts of really controlling the populations, putting these national parks where you say nobody can go in, controlling the poaching, making sure that they have what they need and that they're not interfered with by the human population. And some help with reproduction and things like that.
I was going to say, because that's a dangerous game to get into for a human. Like we're quite small compared to these mammals.
Yes, we are.
So I'm thinking of Ace Ventura right now. Was it Ace Ventura where he went into a rhino?
Yeah. I think.
No, he pretended to be a rhino, didn't he?
Yeah. I think I've watched this film when I was 10 or something.
And then a rhino thought the robot rhino was real, and that yeah.
Yeah. I need to watch
So
these
it's a
films
dangerous sport to help elephants and rhinos procreate, but it's an essential one, I guess, that humans have gotten better at. I guess that's what you're saying.
So. Yeah, I think so.
So we're getting better at not poaching, or banning the poaching, or penalising the poaching, and or shooting them. No, and then also helping them have some fun together.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. But more than anything, I think it is just from having these designated areas where they're just able to live their normal lives.
Okay. Yes.
Like real conservation.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. Here's a big park. Have at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it.
Nice.
And so for elephants, there's about 400,000 in Africa, which sounds like a lot, but it was many millions before humans started making cities and things like that 100 years ago. But 400,000
many millions. Do you know how many millions?
I don't know how many millions, unfortunately, but I know that it was a number in the maybe tens of millions or something like that.
I mean, imagine the aim of trying to count that without the technology that we have today. 100 years ago, go out and count all of the elephants in Africa.
Yeah, take a while. Yeah.
So lots of millions.
That's right.
Versus almost under 500,000 now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But the number has come up in the last 10 years. So that's the important thing. And in Asia, there's about 50,000 elephants. And that population is also slightly up over the last 10 years as well.
Do we know how many they had before?
Oh, cities? Gosh, Charlie, you're going
no, I don't
really
mean
difficult question.
I don't mean like... As in Asia, were the elephants as plentiful in Asia as they were in Africa?
I don't think so. I don't think there was but oh gosh, I'm going.
No.
Shall I Google? Shall I Google?
Fine,
no, I'm not going to Google. Okay.
But okay, so Asia and Africa are both on the up with the elephants.
Right. And rhinos, there's only 27,000, which doesn't sound like a massive amount. Spread out around mostly in Africa, some in Asia as well, but mostly in Africa.
27,000.
Yeah, individuals.
That is a small amount.
It is a small amount. However, this is also higher than it was 10 years ago as well. So again, it's going in the right direction.
Keep helping them though. Do you know what hippos are saying? Like, are they happy?
I haven't heard from the hippopotami department recently, so I'm afraid
that's
I can't help out there. Yeah, next week we'll find out about the hippos.
Okay. Well, I hope the hippos are not going hungry and they are happy hippos. As well as the elephants and the rhinos.
Totally.
Okay, that's
fantastic. Should we stay in Africa for this one and go to something which is really, really important, which is the malaria vaccine?
I was going to say, yes.
Do you know what? This is the one which last time I was on your podcast, I did actually mention.
I remember this. This. Yes.
Right. And it's got even better since then. So I think in the last time I spoke to you about the malaria vaccine, it was the first time that there was about to be a rollout of an actual malaria vaccine, not just for studies, but actually being given to mass numbers of people in Africa.
Right.
And last year, the one which was being given out was only about 30% effective or something like that, which is better than nothing, but it's not very high. And now, this year, there's a second malaria vaccine called R21, and that is 75% effective against preventing malaria itself.
75% effective against preventing?
Yeah, preventing somebody from getting the disease in the first place. Yeah. So that is a real game changer. Like, this could be could be absolutely massive. So just to give some numbers to people, at the moment, about 600,000 people a year die from malaria, and millions have other big problems from it.
Yeah.
So 600,000 is already much less than it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago, but it's been 600,000 for a while, and with this vaccine, which has already been given out in Côte d'Ivoire. I'm not sure how many have already been given out, but they've started giving it out properly, this R21 vaccine in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. They are hoping that once this is fully rolled out, this R21 vaccine, it will go down from 600,000 deaths a year to only 200,000 deaths a year within this decade. So by 2030, so that's within 6 years. That's absolutely massive. And some of the scientists which are behind it are saying that they would like to completely eradicate malaria by the following decade, by 2040, which is
wow.
Hang
on, so
amazing.
We'd be saving as many lives as there are elephants in Africa.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just in Ivory Coast.
Yes, yeah. Every year. No, sorry, not just in Ivory Coast. No.
Okay.
In total. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So like if it goes down from 600,000 to 200,000 per year.
Yeah.
By 2030, then that would be saving 400,000 lives per year, right? Which is the same number,
okay.
It's the same as the number of elephants in Africa. That's right.
Yes, that's right. Okay, yeah, that would, from what I said, that would mean that Ivory Coast had 90% population with malaria or something.
Yeah. No. The population isn't so big, but it's been given out. It started to be given out to babies in the Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, and also in South Sudan, and Ghana has approved it, so they'll probably be giving it out soon as well. And and the Serum Institute of India, which is one of these massive factories, is producing millions and millions of doses of this vaccine.
Right.
So it really is possible that malaria will be eradicated or almost eradicated within the next 15, 20 years or something. And this is a problem which is just through the whole of the 21st throughout the whole of the 20th century, this was just killing millions and millions and millions of people all the time. So to eradicate malaria would be an incredibly significant event.
Wow. So it's the mosquitoes that share it. So I wonder what that means for the mosquitoes. Like, if they're not giving it to us,
yeah,
do they? But they would continue to have it, right? Do they die from malaria? Do mosquitoes?
I don't think so. Do you know what? I remember looking this up about a year ago. I think that they don't suffer from malaria. They just pass it
on.
I believe, yeah. Oh, and the way that this vaccine works is by stopping the parasite of malaria from developing in humans. Okay. Yeah.
And can animals get malaria, do you think?
I don't know, actually. Good question.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to avoid Googling that, which I always have that temptation to do when talking to you.
No, that's so that's incredible. That really is. So the first one that you said, the first malaria drug, are they being bumped off the shelves now?
I'm not sure, actually, because they gave out quite a few doses, maybe a few million doses of that between last year and this year. I think it's still going. I think it's still being produced. Of course, having a 75% vaccine is much better than having a 30% effective vaccine. Yeah. But if there's not enough of the new one to go around, then it's probably still worth people taking the old one. And people are always being told to take other measures against malaria anyway. So just, number one, just to try to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes. Yes. So by having the bed nets and there's some other drugs as well which people can take to avoid the problems.
Yes. And for a tourist going to a malaria, is it right to say malaria-ridden region or malaria zone? The same pills would be still the same medication that you would take, I guess.
I haven't heard of tourists or foreigners being offered a malaria vaccine. I would.
It seems quite extreme, I guess, if you're just
it
going
does
for a short period of time.
Yeah, I remember taking Lariam when I went somewhere. I think it was in Asia that I was given that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It was a very very funny drug. Yeah.
It was very funny for you.
Yeah,
Like
it's a really weird drug to take because it gives you really vivid dreams.
Yes.
So I remember having the first couple of weeks that I was taking Lariam, that whenever I was falling asleep, I would have these really vivid dreams, sometimes related to the situations I was in. I remember being on a bus once where I was dozing off and feeling, and all of there was people walking around on the bus and things like that, and it just wasn't real. And that was from
you
taking
imagine.
I was just imagining it.
Or an augmented dream.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, I think people will probably still be taking drugs Lariam at the moment.
I still blame it on that drug that I blacked out on a plane. I was flying from London to Africa to I think Uganda, Kampala, that was the city, and on the flight I blacked out on the way to the toilet.
Wow.
And I woke up with a cut on my nose because I just face planted the floor.
Wow.
And I was going with a stranger at the time who ended up being my girlfriend after a month or so. So I was obviously aware that the person that I was with, I was wanting to impress in some way. And I woke up to 4 air stewards wafting a flannel in my face, saying, Mister, are you okay? Are you okay, sir?
Wow.
And they were like, is he with anybody? And they're like, yeah, I think he's with that girl. So we'll go get her. And I was like, no, don't get her. And she was like, Charlie, what are you doing on the floor in the kitchen of the canteen bit of the aircraft?
Gosh, wow. Just in case anybody's heard both of our stories there about Lariam, it's still important to take drugs. Still important to take drugs to stop the effects of malaria. Malaria is much worse. So.
Malaria much worse. So maybe take a cricket helmet or something on your flight. And then what could you do to prevent weird dreams? Just don't sleep. Don't sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is malaria vaccine. That's amazing news. So we've got elephants, rhinos, and humans being saved left, right, and centre in Africa and elephants in Asia.
That's it. Yeah.
Really good. EU renewable energy is on the up. I'm feeling very, very positive. We will be leaving the free version of this episode here for today. But if you did want to continue listening to this conversation, then head over to the BritishEnglishPodcast.com, where you can sign up to the Premium Podcast or the Academy. The Premium Podcast gives you the ad-free version with transcripts, a full glossary and flashcards, whereas the Academy gives you all of that plus a whole lot more, including vocab video lessons, writing assignments, weekly Zoom classes, and you can also get paired with a new speaking partner of a similar level to yours each month to really get your speaking practice in. But if you were just here for the free version of this episode, then I thank you very much. Congratulations for getting to the end of this part, and I hope to see you back here next week for another episode. I've been your host, Charlie, on the British English Podcast. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Before you go, don't forget to download the free vocab worksheet specifically designed for this episode so that you can go away feeling satisfied that you've got your listening practice in for the day and expanded your vocabulary. You can find the link in the show notes or visit thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. That's thebritishenglishpodcast.com/worksheet. What's more is you'll unlock the vocabulary worksheet for every single episode in one go. You're welcome. Happy learning.